I was actually working that night, and so we were getting a lot of alarm calls to our dispatch center.
We had to prioritize finding out, number one, where they were, if they were injured, the extent of the injury, if they needed support immediately, trying to calm them, keep them safe where they were if possible, and advising them that they needed to wait until help arrived. That was hard because traditionally we can, in a normal 911 situation, most of the time we can stay on the phone. During this type of significant incident, we had to prioritize, get all that information, and explain we had to disconnect, which was very difficult when you know that normally you try to calm them the entire time.
And then once we knew that the tornado had touched down, it was all hands on deck. We deployed all of our available resources to that area and started our search and rescue mission.
We have to get figured out how large of a swath of area the town is. You know, we're focused here on Cinnamon Creek, but there was a lot of other 911 calls coming in throughout the city, and how big of a scope was it, and how far to the east did it go? We knew we had one person trapped in their home. We figured there'd be multiple.
Basically, we sent teams to every single residence in the impacted area to make sure, that everybody was safe. We had to close down all the streets. We called for additional resources from other agencies to come and assist us with that. We had worked with the Red Cross to set up a shelter area so that the residents in that area had a place to go, and we worked on getting them to that location. And we just continued our efforts, one step at a time.
When I heard the reports coming through that it was a long-lived tornado and still on the ground, I told my wife I'm going to be going to work and going to be there for a while. Our crew, our initial role was we were going to set up at the last pole that was still up in the air and try to isolate the wires that were laying on the ground and try to get that pole safe and secure so we could get the power restored to as many people as we could.
I mean, we deal with storm damage, all the time, but dealing with something of this magnitude, the approach is still the same. Whether you got, 5 calls or 500 calls, like something like with a tornado, I mean, we can only do one job at a time. So we're focusing on, this tree that's blocking the street right now, and then we're going to go to the next one.
I never walked the entire scene until it was starting to unwind, so to speak. We were winding down, we were starting to release companies, and myself and Chief Sergeant walked the entire area, and just the magnitude. Because in the middle of the night when it's dark and you don't have eyes on the entire situation, you can only go off of what you're getting reports back from the folks in the field.
I remember being on scene and seeing, a half of a house just wide open and seeing children's clothes and toys, and that was heartbreaking for me to see that. I have kids, and knowing, kind of the aftermath that they were going to go through. But thankfully, we did not have any fatalities or, real significant injuries, so I'm thankful for that.
We really couldn't have done it without the volunteers' help, Roar and everybody else that gave a hand, so it was much appreciated.
I'm thankful that we had the resources available to be out there, 24 hours a day during the aftermath of that. And I think that we were able to give our residents a little sense of comfort and peace knowing that we were out there, and we were very diligent about protecting that area.
This was in the evening, 7 or 8 p.m. on the day after the storm. We were working 16 hours that day, and there's a lady who came out with a sack full of cheeseburgers she made on her grill to give to all of us working. And I thought, here's a lady whose lights have been out, but she looked out in the street and seen people working and wanted to do what she could, and that really struck me as I won't forget it. I mean,
it's what we do. It's our job. We're here to protect the citizens. We took a sworn oath when we get hired to protect the citizens of the city. It's gracious for them to thank us for what we are trained to do.
It makes me feel good just knowing I'm providing the service to those folks all day, every day, not just in time of need.
In law enforcement, our entire career is spent around working with people during the worst times of their life. I mean, nobody calls us to tell us they're having a good day. So, for us, it's kind of normal to be around people when they're at their worst moment. I just hope that we as an agency lived up to the expectation of our community and helped them, as much as we possibly could during that time when they were in need.